Good evening, Joe. How are you this week?
I am great. I've had a great week this week. So
Fantastic.
I am getting ready. I am doing a retreat. And so there's much work going into all things getting ready for a retreat. So it's very exciting. Yes.
Go, go, go for you then.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Love that.
So
It's been a big tarot week for me this week, so this is good.
perfect.
Love
Perfect. I
it.
have to say, when you gave me a tarot reading, uh, when was that? Was
Last
that last
August, I
year?
think, Joe. It was last year, last August.
Yeah, yeah. I have to say, I some of the things haven't come true because it's not time yet, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. But most of the things that you said that would happen at the start of this year have happened.
Yes. We love that,
Yeah.
Joe. Bless. Thank you. Sometimes
Yes.
it's nice just to get the validation
Yeah.
of because sometimes timelines are really hard because timelines are always changing. And
Yes.
I actually get really specific now before I started tarot to say, I need you to give me the information for the timeline they currently find themselves on because
Yeah.
that could have too many timelines that still stuff going on, but that's 20 years away. This I want the now
Mm.
timeline. Do you know what I mean? So
Yes. Yes. So
very
yes, so
interesting. So
very
no,
good.
go on.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
welcome everyone to episode 3. It's going to be
Yes.
episode. We've got 2 there. That's wrong. It's episode 3 of the Charles and Joe show. So, let's go with episode 3. Who thought we'd be, 3 episodes in? Let's do this. So,
Yeah.
what are we discussing tonight, Joe? What's our plan for tonight?
Well, I think it's talking about our trusting ourselves,
Yes,
and connecting in more to our intuition,
good girl. Yeah,
um,
we need that
and
more than ever now. Being very discerning about what you're hearing, what you're reading, what you're absorbing energetically. You've really
yes,
got to watch it all now.
very much so. And I think it's about, you know everyone lives so much like out of their existence by, we're scrolling on the internet all the time, and I often call it doom scrolling. And we're just going on everyone else's opinions, but often most people aren't going within and feeling what they want to feel, if that makes sense. Like
Some
what
people don't
what
even
do
know
they
how.
need?
Yeah, they don't even know how to feel that. That's the thing, Joe. So a lot of
Yes.
people will just say, if they read it on this, oh, it's on Facebook, it's got to be true. They're not saying, how does that make me feel? How do I sit with that? How does that, is that relevant for me? Do you know what I mean?
Mm, mm.
And they just don't know how to feel. So this is going to be a good chat we're going to have tonight because
Absolutely.
people are, I don't want to use the word lazy, but people are sometimes time poor. Let's use that.
Mm. Time poor. Yes.
And they don't want to research things for themselves. Does that make sense?
No.
So if I say to you, there's a white cat across the road, it's like, it's a black cat. They go, oh, okay, whatever. You think it's a black cat? We'll call it a black cat. Do you know what I mean? And this is like,
Yes.
you're not even going to question me about that? Um, so people need to start working out what's real, what's not
Yes.
real. Because
Yes.
I don't know about you. Do you watch the news, Joe?
No.
On the television? Yeah, same. I don't watch the news anymore because for me, um, it was always doom and gloom. But then when I'd look at the stories that they were presenting and I'd go a little bit deeper, the way that they were reporting things was very biased. It was one way, and you're not getting
Yes.
the flip side to that. Does that make sense? So I had to
Yes.
stop and think, okay, well, people are believing what they're getting a 3-minute snippet of on the news and taking that as gospel, but
Yes.
it's not actually true. It's not actually real. So it's very interesting that it's the time now, especially now we've got all of this AI in the
Yes.
world, and
Very
AI
much.
creates images and visuals and all of those types of things that it's like it's computer generated and it looks real, but it's not real.
Yeah.
So
And yeah, even two things that surprised me with AI is that my friend, who I think, yeah, she's 60, she was talking to her daughter, and her daughter couldn't get into her therapist. So she said, oh, I just typed it into AI, and the chat thing told me how to help myself. And I was just
wow,
like, oh, okay. And then the other thing was, I had a young millennial, and she said, "Oh yeah, I'm just making money on AI generated courses." So I don't even know what I'm talking about, but no one asked me because it was all AI generated,
And see,
and
this
I
is
was
the
just
thing. So
like,
people are creating courses. Look at what you're telling me. People are creating courses. They don't know what the content is. They don't know what the outcomes of these courses that they're teaching are. And people are paying good money and they're learning
mm,
crap
yeah,
from
and I
somebody
didn't
that hasn't had the experience.
Yeah. Yes. So, and I didn't quite understand that till one of the ladies that's doing my retreat asked me a question. I was like, "What do you mean? Where did I get the information from?" And she said, "Well, where did you get all the information for your course content?" And I went, from the last 20 years of me being a
Yes.
clairvoyant." And she's
Yes.
like, "Oh, right, okay. So there's nothing." And I said, "I may have, uh, you know, I said my spell check thing maybe, but I said, but it's all me. Like that's the only thing that I use that I, it's all my knowledge." And so
It's
it's
authentic. It's
interesting.
tried and tested. It's been
Yeah.
practiced. It's used.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's interesting now. And look, is it right or wrong? I'm not sure. For me, it's wrong. I want it to become from the authentic source of me, if that makes sense, if it's my
Yeah.
course. Uh,
Yeah.
but I think that this is something that we're facing moving forward, that
Yeah.
people aren't questioning who the facilitator is and aren't questioning where their course content came from because it was just, they just put it through Chat GPT and it came up.
And it looks good. They've gone into ChatGPT. I've got to be honest, I've never used it in my life. I'm not about
No,
to start using it, Joe. It's not for me.
no.
Good on everybody else that's making a killing on it, but for me, it doesn't sit well. But I even
I
do.
think
I'll
because
even.
we're old
I take.
souls.
We're old souls,
Sorry.
Joe. But that's the thing. We trust our team in spirit. We trust our intuition. We understand it. I remember,
Yes.
and I don't trust. It's hard because I don't want to say I don't trust, but it's a case of I question everything. Does that make sense? And
Yeah.
I'll give you an example of that. I had to take my mum to a doctor,
Yeah.
essentially a surgeon, and I said to the surgeon, um, on the second visit. I said, okay, so this is 12 months post our first visit, and we're at the same point we were at last year. Why are we doing the procedure this year if mum's at the same point with we're talking about kidneys with the kidney function? I said, what's the difference? I said, please explain that to me because from my side, if she's at this percentage last year and we're at the same percentage this year, why are we doing this? And she goes,
Mm.
thank you for asking me a really interesting question because I'm going to give you the answer. And it's like, and she gave me an in-depth as to why it needs to happen in this experience at this time. And I
Yep.
actually trusted it. I actually trusted her wisdom. And I actually prefaced the question and said to her, please don't take this the wrong way, but I don't trust doctors. Um, and she understood exactly where I was coming from because she'd seen that there are a lot of practitioners. It doesn't just have to be doctors, it could be anybody, but there are a lot of
Yeah.
people out there that will just tell you something to make a quick buck. And but when I asked her that question from her perspective, she understood it and she actually gave me a really valid answer as to
Perfect.
why it needed to happen on that day. And that said to me, this woman's got integrity. I can trust her, and I do trust her. So
Yeah.
this is why it's really important for people to question everything. Do not just sit with, because they said so. No,
Mm.
it's not good enough anymore. And you're a mum, Joe. You know mother's intuition. How many times have you seen on the news mums will take their kids to the hospital will discharge them, and mum's
Yes.
gone, nah, taking them back because there's something not right. That's
Yes.
trusting your intuition.
Yes.
And this is what people need to start doing more and more of now because the world's going to get really confusing. The world's confused now, and the world
Oh,
is very it's on a limited patience. There's everybody's got this much fuse going before they go boom.
mm.
So that's why it's really important now to how does this work for me? These are questions I ask for myself. How does this work for me? Do I believe this? And if I don't believe it, how can I research this to go and find what's actually real here and what's not real?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, there's been times with my children where I've gone, nah, I'm not going home. Like, you know, there was a time where Lexi, she was only little, but she went in on our trampoline and her head went into she hit the trampoline with her head, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Now, the doctor didn't want to put her as a spinal case, because then she'd have to be moved out of that emergency bay into the spinal cord emergency bay. And then, you know, it's a big rigmarole. Then she has to put like one of the neck things on. And I was like, well, you know what? I want an x-ray. I want an x-ray of her neck, because we're going skiing next week and she can't ski if she has any fractures in her neck. So I said, if I leave here, I'm going to go to my GP and get an x-ray, and I'm going to make sure I come back if it's incorrect, if you should have done an x-ray. So then he's got cranky, ordered the x-ray, and she had like a fracture in her little neck. Now, she couldn't go skiing because if she fell over, it could have made a big difference for her. Yes. So I always go on, you know, my solar plexus or my tummy. How do I feel about this? So I always do that. And I think we're so much in a rush. Humans are in such a rush now that they don't connect into their body and go, oh, hang on, how am I feeling about this? Does that make sense?
100%. I agree 100%. They do it all the time.
Yeah. So this topic is all about us to get you to think and connect in. Even, you know, where you'll go, I don't feel like this is a good idea for me to go on. Or, you know, a great example was, and this was before Elliot and I were young, we were only maybe 27 and Elliot's 6 years older than me, so whatever age. We went to Disneyland. We couldn't, for the life of us on the map, find where the roller coaster is, right?
Wow. Okay. Yep.
So we were going on a Monday, and we we're also going on a Friday to Disneyland. And on the Monday, I go to Elliot, I don't think we're meant to find the roller coaster today. For some reason, it's just we can't find on the map. And we're both intelligent people. Maybe this is a sign we shouldn't go. So Elliot's gone, we've come all this way and we're not going to go on the roller coaster. I went, we'll go on Friday if we go, you know. So anyway, we left that day, went to downtown Disney. The next day, we were going to Universal Studios. But that day, the roller coaster derailed and someone got injured.
Wow.
So I kind of get really, it's sad that happened to that person, but that was the universe saying to us, don't go on it because it's unsafe.
Yes. And you're trusting it. You're trusting it. It's like it's blocking you from finding it. You've got a map in front of you, but it's blocking you. It's blocking every opportunity for you to go on that experience. It's very interesting, and you're so true. You're so true in everything you say. People have to go within. You know, I remember driving to work one day, and I was turning left. It's like a T intersection, and I was at the T here, and I was turning left, and there was a car turning right, so it's sort of blocking the view of the oncoming traffic. And all I got from the universe was, do not move. Okay. So, because usually when the car turns right, I would have gone left because you've got covered traffic. So, but the universe said, do not move, do not move, do not move. And the car turned right and I just stopped. It didn't go anywhere. And the car got T-boned.
Oh.
And it would have hit me if I had have moved into the intersection. But of course, I didn't move into the intersection and it just went right in front of me. And it's like, holy guacamole, what just happened? You know, but something was there and it was so clear and I could just feel it. And it's like, do not move, do not move, do not move. Bang. That was that quick. And it's like, trust, trust, trust. So how do you, and I like what you said before, because I drop into my solar plexus, I drop into my stomach. And I'll say I say to myself, how does this feel?
Yeah.
Does it feel good? If I get butterflies, it's good. It's a good feeling. Let's go. Let's do it. If it's heavy like a brick, I'm not touching it. If it's heavy like a brick, it's not for me. I'm not going there. Do you do something similar, or how do you experience it?
And sometimes, like, I'll go because we're a little bit more. We live our lives in our intuition, right? So we know what we feel, but even for my class when they're starting and they're so bamboozled by life and they, you know, from a little kid, and this is another thing if you're a parent, and if your little kid says to you, I don't want to do that, then I honor it. If that makes sense? I've always honored that because then I want my children to have good intuition, and so
Yes.
then when they fly the coop, that's well established. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
you know, one day Lexi, she was only little, she said, I don't want to go. So, you know, at Coffs Harbour, there's a fair, and then we'd watch the 9 o'clock fireworks, like for New Year's Eve, right? And then there's a fair. So I said to Lexi, well, we'll all go through the fair and do some rides and everything before, and make our way to the beach and watch the fireworks. And Lexi's like, I don't have a good feeling about this. I don't want to go into the fair. So I was like, oh, okay, well, I got to honour her feeling. So I said, okay, well, we won't walk through there. We'll walk all the way around and go and sit at the beach and then hang out at the beach for a while. So Lexi goes, yeah, okay. So anyway, so we've watched the fireworks. We're walking, and again, she's gone, I don't want to walk through the fair. I want to walk around. So I said, okay. So as we're walking around the fair, a big teenage brawl started in the fair. Anyway, and so I said to
Okay.
Lexi, you know what, Lexi, you were right. That was not good energy for us to be in there. So
Yes. And you
yeah,
honored it though. How good are you that you honored her intuition? And it's like, okay, we don't want to do it. We won't go there. We'll go around.
yeah,
Kids have the best intuition.
yeah. Same with
It's
Eli.
so
Eli, the year before we went to the Link Cafe, and he was only 2 or 3, and we had a chocolate breakfast. So I don't feed my kids crap. So for them to have a chocolate breakfast, it was a pretty big highlight.
yes, it would
So
have been. Sounds delicious.
yeah. So, you know, Christmas was coming up, and I was like, you know, we'll go back and have a chocolate breakfast, and we'll stay, you know, we'll go and have a look at all the lights in Sydney, because at that stage we were living in Penrith, which is an hour out of Sydney. So anyway, so Eli was only little, came in from his sandpit, and he went, I don't think we should go to the chocolate breakfast this year. There's all black people, all dark people there, meaning dark as in energy, dark people there, and it's not good for us to go there. And I said, oh, okay, well, we won't go there this year. So anyway, a couple of weeks, I forgot that he said that, and I would have not have gone because I was going to honour him. And then the Lent Siege Cafe happened.
Wow.
So
Just before
Eli is
Christmas.
a little bit, yeah. But you know, you got to honour that, because they. And it's the same with when I see parents, and not parents don't do this very often, but when the kid doesn't want to hug auntie, whoever, or uncle, whatever, they don't feel comfortable doing it. I've never been a parent that says, oh, no, you have to hug them. They're our auntie. You know, you got to go on what your kid feels, or your child. And I just think if we did more of that, and our job as parents was to get them to activate their intuition, that's
Yes.
really important.
Yes.
So if
Have you
anything, yeah.
go on? No, you go.
No, anything as a parent, that should be one of the really important things that we do as a parent moving forward to make our children evolve better and quicker.
Yeah. So in that example, Joe, where you've said, you know, if your children don't want to go and kiss Auntie Elizabeth or whoever, after you've gone and you've left that environment, have you asked them why did you not want to go and, you know, experience that? Or have you ever had that happen, or customers told you that? Or
Yeah, I often with my kids, I don't question that, because I don't want them then to think that I just wanted to go on just the surface of it, just for the minute, because they,
okay,
you know, when they were little, they were quite innocent, so they probably couldn't really articulate why, you know.
true, very true. Yeah. Yeah.
So I just go, no, that's okay. If you don't have to hug anyone. It's your body, and it's your
Yes.
free will and choice to whether to
Yes.
hug or not, if that makes sense.
Yes. And
And even now, like, because mine are Eli's turning 15 soon, and Lexi's 17. So we're in the launch phase, I call it. So
oh, I like that.
so we're still the parents, but you've got to ask more questions. Well, what do you think you should do in that situation? What's your thoughts? Tell me what you think, how this is going to play out, and then I'll add in a few of my little ideas, because I'm a bit further down the road than you guys are, if that makes sense.
Yes.
But it's,
Yes.
and then, you know, further to the intuition, it's like creating a toolbox for them. Okay, so they can self-regulate in a positive way. So, you know, like you've had a crap day at school, what can we do to make ourselves feel better? So
Yes.
you can go out and play some basketball on our court, or you can go out and play with the dogs, have a swim, You know, we can go and walk on the beach, but it's just so then they're validating how they're feeling, not just suppressing it by getting on their phone and then scrolling, you know, just by numbing themselves. And it's also,
this is a big problem. This is a big problem.
yeah, it won't make them feel better. You need to get up and do something.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, and I just think
Okay.
that's all part of the intuition of trying to get them to feel into their emotions and to connect in with how does my body feel about that?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
adults aren't
Another good
doing it.
Well, adults are
Yeah.
they're not doing anything, but adults also are not grounding either. Does that make
No,
sense? So,
from
um,
lesson 1 when we talked about
that's
that.
exactly right. Week 1, and I must say, on week 1, I forgot to. There was an example I wanted to give people to ground, and it was just like,
Yeah.
just imagine this beautiful red energy coming from the center of the earth that comes up to the crust of the earth and grabs you by the legs to ground you and pulls you into
Yes.
the earth, just planting roots. But that's exactly right. Adults are not grounding in any way, shape, nor form. So that lets this go busy, 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 busy. And when your mind is busy, 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 you accept stuff straight away. It's like, okay, I'm not going to question that. I'm just going to accept it. That's real because I'm busy. Let's go to the next thing. And then they'll go, did you see that? Did you do that? Did you hear that? And it's just like people are very accepting of everything that they see straight away. Just like, oh yeah, I'll take that, take that, take that. That's right, that's right, that's right. Even at a supermarket, you go to the shelf and it's like that box of tissues. That could have been $2.99 last week, but it's like $4.99 today. It's like, yeah, I'll take it. That's the same price every week. No, 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 no. Start looking. I think people are in such a hurry that they're not
Yes.
even looking. Do you feel the same way?
Yep. Yep.
It's
And
it's it's
yeah,
it
very much.
worries me. It worries me because it's like they're not taking things in. They're not seeing what's actually happening. Does that make sense? They're not connected. There's a how do I don't know. It's like there's a force field in front of them that's put them in a daze. Does that make sense?
Yes. And also
And they're
then I find,
disconnected.
yeah, when people are a little bit older and they're dating, you know, they're in such a rush because they think they're getting old and they need to find the person. And then, you know, I'll go, well, how do they make you feel? And they'll go, what? What do you mean? And I go, well, do they make you feel like a princess or a queen? Do you
Yes.
feel good when you're driving home from having a catch up? And they'll go, oh, no. And I'll go, well, that's a really good indicator that they might not be your person, you
Yes.
know?
And
And
see, they're
then,
not trusting themselves in that
no.
experience. They're going along with it because it's like I'm at X age and I don't want to be left on the shelf. So I'll accept that.
Mm.
And it's just like you don't accept stuff like that.
No, no. And often when, you know, they're making excuses and I'll go, you know what, mate, if they really wanted to, they would. So
Yes.
if they're not, that means their actions are telling you exactly where they've placed you on the list of their priorities. And if it's not
Yes.
the top, if they've got kids from a previous marriage, you know, I understand that they're number 2 on the list because,
Valid.
you
That's
know,
valid because their children will always come first.
correct.
But if
But
they're not in that situation,
mm,
look at where
yeah,
they're putting you.
yeah. So I just think no one feels into their chakras, or they just, it's like that quick fix validation, you know?
Yes, yes, yes. The
Yeah.
validation is quick, it's instant. I don't have to think, I don't have to research. Some people don't want to feel either. So that's why they
No.
don't want to go into their chakras. And because if I actually look at this relationship, I'll see that it's not the best thing for me. And then what am I going to do then? Is something better than nothing? And this is what the world's settling. The world is settling. It's not pushing beyond and thinking, you know what, I deserve better than that. I'm going to go and find better than that. The world just
Mm,
says everybody wants things easily.
mm.
Tablet. Doctor said, I'll take that, take that. That'll fix it. Do you know what I mean? Not
Yeah.
thinking, what else can I be doing? Let me talk to my body. What does my body want to tell me? Because
Yeah.
it will tell me stuff.
Yeah. And I had a lady, so this was FaceTime. So she wasn't in our clinic, but as she's talking to me about her diagnosis of a cancer, she's talking to me whilst drinking a can of Coke. And I was like, oh. Anyway, so I was sort of touched on, so did the doctor talk to you about what you're eating? Like, have you got a protocol about what to eat? And she's gone, no, I just need to turn up for the treatment. That's all that they've told me. And I've gone, well, what do you think? Do you think loading your body full of sugar is a good thing when your body's fighting a cancer? And she's gone, no one talked to me about that. That's none of the doctors talked about that. They just said I've got to just turn up for the treatment. And I was like, don't go on me, but your body is in disease because of the emotions you've suppressed or by the toxic environment that inside you are. So maybe you could explore how that sits for you. And then she goes, yeah, I could deal with that, but it's easy just to go on what the doctor says because I can turn up to the appointments. And I said, well, obviously you're a little bit curious because you've actually contacted me and wanted an appointment with me. So I said, but I know my body's a little bit larger than it could be, but I'm not fighting a cancer of any sort, if that makes sense. But if I was, there'd be a massive protocol of no sugars, nothing in my diet that can actually accelerate but unless you're in an alternative universe, no one's talking about that. And that, to me, that's just common sense, to be quite honest.
I agree, Joe. I agree. But that's a classic example of people not wanting to take responsibility for themselves and putting their responsibility or just taking other people's, like the doctors. That's the doctor said, that's what I'm going to do. And it's like, but why? Just say those two words. But why do we do that? What else can I do? Does that make sense? If I could say to people, you're going to a doctor, but why? What does that do for me? Does that help me? I'll give you a classic example of why the doctors must hate me because I'm the worst patient. And I went to India and I went to the doctor because, it's what you do. And I thought there's a lot of disease in India. So I thought, okay. I said to the doctor, all right, we're going to India. What do you think I need immunization wise? Okay, this was in 2017. And he goes, he rattled off like six. You need this, you need this, you need this, you need this. And I'm going, really? I'm going to be a pincushion for the next half an hour. And then I said to him, and he didn't expect it because it came from left field from me. The universe has gone, ask him this. So I said to the doctor, let's play a game. Let's play a game. He goes, okay. I said to him, you're going to India. What are you getting? He goes, duh, duh, duh. I said, so why are you giving me 6 or 7 and you're giving yourself 3? What's going on here? And he did not know what to say. He said, you know what? You're right. I don't know why I'm telling you to get all of this when all I would give myself is this and this and this. So at that point in time, I said, I'll take your script and I'll see what I'm going to do with it. And I'm going to investigate this further and I'll do what I need to do for me. So I'm taking responsibility for me. But it was a very interesting aspect because it's like, I don't think it'd ever been questioned before. And this is what we have to start doing now. Exactly like what you said, Joe, with this poor person that you had FaceTiming you. She's got cancer. And they've just said to her, turn up at 8 o'clock, be there, expect to be there X amount of hours. And she possibly didn't understand in herself, but what if I change my diet? What if I exercise? What are my alternatives to what you're offering? Does that make sense? And this is where people need to start taking responsibility and be very discerning as to what they're being told, what information they're getting, and where they're getting their information from. There's a lot of stuff out there. And as you started with, Joe, ChatGPT, there's a lot of people putting stuff out through ChatGPT. What do they say with technology? If you put rubbish in, you're going to get rubbish out.
Yes. And look, I'm not fulfilling as a mama, I would do whatever I have to stay alive so I can be at my children's wedding. So I'm not fulfilling modern technology or medicine in any way. But
there is a place for it. There is an absolute place for it, but just question it.
And do your research more. Like what else is there that you could do? So so I just think on one level, on a positive, people are becoming so much more trusting of others than they were probably,
Yes.
10 or 15 years ago. So that's the positive. But the negative is that people need there's no identifying within us of what we feel. So
Yeah.
a good book that I love, because I've got it ready for my retreat, is You Can Heal Your Life.
Love it. Love
Yeah,
that
and
book.
in the back of this book here is, can I find it? Yes, is and this lady who wrote this is Louise Hayes, and she's like a lady that really brought spiritual stuff to the forefront. But in the back of this book is about, like, so this will be the ailment that you have, and then this will
Yeah,
be
the
the
symptoms.
emotional aspect of it. So, with your intuition, the more you feel into that, then the less dis-ease you're going to have in your body, because you're feeling into it. You're not suppressing it and pushing it down. So, because every illness that we are suffering from, it causes grief in our body. So,
Yes.
and I find also, and you might be the same, Charles, we've got to be careful because we're a bit more finely tuned than most. And I know, and this is probably a bit oversharing, but if I'm cranky and pissed off at something, I will create a UTI in my body because I'm cranky and annoyed and I'm not letting it out. I'm ruminating in the annoyance that I'm feeling. And then, by day 2, I've created a UTI in my body because I haven't let it out.
Yeah, and
So,
that's we can create things. That's the thing. Because it sits up here and then that emotion's trapped in your body somewhere.
yes,
Off we go. We're creating something. Journaling is a really good way for people to discern, I think, because journaling
yes,
it would be a really good way for people to write down how they feel about things, situations,
yes.
circumstances, any frustrations they've got going on. So when people are unsure, I actually would suggest to them, get a pen and paper and just write, how do you feel about this? How does this work for you? Does it work for you? Can I be doing it differently? And if I can be doing it differently, how would I find out how to do that? Does that make sense? Or what are my alternatives? What are my options? Because at least that way, if you can't discuss it with a GP or feeling like you can't get support, write it down, because you might reread it. It's like, you know what? There are alternatives. I'm just going to go and find them. And that might just trigger you. So, okay, let me find another specialist. Let me get a second opinion, because then I might be able to ask other questions that allows me to be more happy or more satisfied with the answers that I'm getting, instead of just saying, turn up at that time, at that point, at that place, at that point in time to get this treatment done. What's it going to do for me? How do I prepare for that? What else do I need to do? Can I drive home? This would have, my head would be a million questions. So
Yeah.
that's why I always say to people, if you're unsure, sit inside your solar plexus or your base chakra or your sacral chakra. Sit where you've got to sit, within your chakras, even in your heart chakra, for the emotion. Have I got enough information to make an informed decision? Because if I
Very
haven't
much.
got enough information, what do I need to do to get that information to then make a decision that's more informed? I said that to my mother the other day. One of my friends, she's had an experience with her parents that my mother's about to undertake. So she was very generous enough to share what her mother's experience was like. So when I told my mother, have you considered this? Have you thought about how this is going to work? She goes, oh, no, nobody's told me about that experience. And it's like, yes, this is why it's very important to try and communicate. What's your experience with this? How have you found it? Has it benefited your life, or has it become detrimental to your life? What is that? And this is a medical experience. So that way you can make a more of an informed decision about what you're going through, and then you can speak to your specialist. It's like, well, hold on a minute, I've got some other questions that I hadn't even contemplated before. I was chatting to somebody else. It allows them to be more informed. So we can't just trust anymore. Do you know what I mean? I feel like for us now in this day and age, with all of this artificial intelligence, let's look at something very lighter, Joe. But remember that picture that came out, I think it was last year or maybe the year before, of Princess Catherine with the kids? Do you
Oh,
remember
yes.
the Buckingham Palace put the picture out, but Prince George had 2 feet, and the fingers were all skewed because they'd airbrushed the picture. They AI'd the picture.
Yes.
Do you remember that?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, it's in plain sight that things are not as they seem to be. So We just have to really ground our mind, ground our thoughts, and sit with, is this what I need to know? Is this enough? How do I find more information about it? So then you can make a
Yeah.
more informed decision. Or do I feel like I did with my mother and her surgeon, that I can trust this
Yeah.
person? Because if I can trust them, they're on. Let's go. Let's do this. It's very
Absolutely.
important.
It's also, I see a lot in my hot seat at work, where people know that their career that they've chosen is not right for them anymore.
Yep.
But, you know, they continue on because they've got a mortgage or whatever.
Yes.
And, you know, I often see them and they've got chronic fatigue, or they've got autoimmune disorders because they have just forced themselves to continue on with a job that's possibly paying themselves well.
Yes.
And they're miserable, like, you know, and I think, look, when I knew that I wanted to do this as a job, I did have some ability, but I needed to hone it in and do courses. And it wasn't easy. I'd work and then I'd have to then do courses on the weekend, and, you know, but I made that sacrifice. So then my heart is truly happy with the choices and the career that I've made, and then I'm driving home helping people. I never worried about how I was going to make money. I just knew that if I did intuitively what I felt I was doing, like that I wanted to do, that the money would come. And I think that often people, not so much the millennials, because they're pretty lifestyle driven.
They are.
And
They know
I
what they
admire
want.
that. Yes. And I admire that for them, because when they come into work at the clinic and they go, I only want to work 3 days because I'd like to enjoy the other 4 days, you know, we're from the era where you've got to work as much as you can, because that's what our parents told us to do.
And then you get to 67, you can retire, and then you
Yeah.
live your life from 67 onwards. Yes, that's right.
So I, not so much, but, you know, there's the people that are in their 40s and 50s that are miserable and not listening to their intuition. So, you know, it's really about connecting in, and yes, it might be a bit hard to change careers, but you only get one life, and you don't want to go rock into heaven and you go, oh yeah, 20 years I lived miserably because I didn't go on my gut feeling, and I knew that this wasn't gonna, I chose it because it was going to make money for me, and that's not good enough for a career choice. It's soul destroying.
It's so true, because you're doing something that's creating for yourself misery.
Mm.
And you can't live like that. You can't live in a miserable state. That was me, Joe. I did 26 years, just under 26 years at Qantas. And in the end, I was hating it. That shift work for 26 years, missing out on everything. And it was the funniest day, because I remember thinking of resigning, but I just drove to work. It was a beautiful sunny day. I had a 9 o'clock start, which is like, this is day shift. This is what normal people do. I drive to work, park the car, and it's like something just went flash. And it's like, oh my God, I'm going to resign today, because that's exactly where my head was. And there was a
Yeah.
bird on the footpath. People think I'm crazy every time I tell this story. There was a bird on the footpath, and I said to the bird, am I going to resign today? So I got on the bus, because we had to park like 7 kilometers out away from the airport. Got on the bus, got to work. The first thing I did, call my manager. I need to see you today. Can I see you at what time? 3 o'clock, Charles. How's that? Yep, good. Thank you. Bye. And then I said to the girls, oh my God, I'm going to resign today. I've never resigned from a job before. How do I write a resignation letter? And I resigned. I proceeded to resign. And at 3 o'clock that afternoon, where I said to the boss, there's my letter. And he said, I accept your resignation. I felt free. I felt liberated. Does that make sense?
Mm.
I wasn't scared. I had nothing to go back to. There was no job. Like, I had nothing planned. I had nothing lined up.
Oh,
And that's exactly what it was like. But it was the most, seriously, it was like, I'll tell our viewers, this is how it felt. It was like somebody got a pair of scissors and cut my wings at the back, because someone was binding them together. Does that make sense? And I could just feel them becoming free. And it's just like, oh my God, what happened? Because I felt free, and you could not wipe the smile off my face. And
yeah.
then I was blessed, because I had 26 years, so that allowed me some long service leave. So I was able to live off the payout of the long service leave before I then started to trust in the universe and flow my pathways. And it took me on a journey, and the journey wasn't always the easiest of journeys, but it took me where I needed to go. And then in the end, I'm at such a beautiful place where I do healing work. I work with crystals every day. My life couldn't be happier, but I had to trust. And that's what I did. I took a chance, but I trusted, and then off we go. So, but that was me listening to guidance. That was me sitting inside. How do I feel about this? And I'd been thinking about resigning, but I hadn't given it serious thought until I just drove to work that day, and the universe goes, Charles, today's the day. Let's just get this done. And then I'd never felt so free. So I get you when you say people are stuck in jobs that they
Mm,
don't want to do, and that creates such trauma in their bodies.
mm.
They hear that they've got to get out. They know inside themselves that they've got to get out of this, but they're not listening to their intuition, because the intuition would have been showing them other opportunities, you know? And people say to me, I don't see the signs. I say, look at number plates. Look at
Yeah.
the words on a truck as you're driving past. Look at a billboard. Listen to the song on the radio, because these are all indicators of what you need to do. And when you are, I'm really finely tuned to particularly songs on the radio. It's like, universe, get out of my head. Universe, get out of my head. I know that's what's happening, but just get out of my head. You don't have to validate it. If they trusted that, they'll get the signs, they'll see it, but they look too hard. And it's like, calm it down. It'll come when it needs to come. But feeling like you're in the wrong spot or in the wrong career, it's seriously time for you to look at what are my alternatives moving forward to make my life a happier existence.
Yeah. And I think also I would rather live my true soul self, even if I had to downgrade and live in a smaller home.
Then
Then
I had that. I had that learning, Joe, too. I had that learning. I think it was 1999, and I learned a very important lesson about money at that time.
yeah,
And it's like, Charles, you were doing it for the status and for the money, and the universe was very hard on me, really hard on me. And I got to that point, Joe. I'll sell the house. I'll go and live in a smaller house. I'll get a job somewhere that makes me happy. I said, and what I had to learn was happiness doesn't, you can't trade on happiness. Happiness is the most important thing we have in our lives. Does that make sense? I could have
yes.
had all the money in the world in that job, but I wasn't happy. So what was the point?
Mm.
Oh, it was just miserable. So what was the point? So when I gave up that job, and I was still at Qantas, but I gave up a job that was very like a supervisory job, and I gave it up to go back to the bottom. I was the happiest I'd ever been in my life. Didn't have to
Yeah.
sell the house, but I was happy and I was joyful, and my vibration just went up it went. And the support, you get support from people. It's like, good on you for making a tough decision. Nothing
Yeah.
that's easy in life comes without effort. Does that make sense?
Yes.
People think I've had the easiest run. They haven't lived my life.
No.
Trust, trust. Go and see somebody for validation. Go and see Joe for a read or a healing or something like that. Because we get wisdom. We can tap into your fields. So when I do a tarot, it's mainly about validating what people know.
Mm.
So if you need advice, we're not doctors. We're not going to give you medical advice. We're not going to tell you all this stuff that you know, but we can give you general life, validations, so that you can get on with your life and understand where you need to be and what you need to be doing. Trust
Yeah.
yourself. Don't. Yeah, you've got to be really discerning. I always say to people, Joe, because people often ask me, "Are you the right practitioner for me?"
Ah.
And I say, I can't answer that question for you. I can't answer that question for you. And I usually, particularly, I get that with hypnosis, and I'll just
Yes.
refer them to the website. I'll say, go and have a look at the hypnosis website. Everybody that practices this is there. You will find somebody on that website that you're going to go, it's that one. And I
Mm.
said, that's what you need to do. So trust your intuition about what practitioner do I need? Who is it? Because you could go on this book, people could come to me for a tarot. I might have given you a good tarot, Joe, and you send your girlfriend down the road, but she's on a different wavelength to you and we don't really connect. And I'm telling her shit. It's not going to have the same resonance. It's not going to work the same. Trust your
No.
intuition so that you can, this is where I need to go. This is the
Yeah.
doctor I need to see. This is
And
whatever.
yeah. And the other thing that I want to talk about also that's just come up is that, I had a lady, she wasn't seeing me. I saw her, I think it was at actually a basketball, my daughter's thing. Anyway, and she was saying, oh yeah, I have a reading, a 15-minute reading every week. And I was like, why would you do that? And she goes, oh, I just need to help her. I need the lady helps me make decisions every week. And I go, babe, that's not right, because I don't like to see my people for more 6 to 8 weeks at best. And I went, because I don't want anyone relying on me. I want them to connect into their intuition, and so they
Yes.
make great choices for themselves. So I said, so my goal, yes, it's sometimes to help them when they're in a pickle or they're very flat or fragile, but generally I want to get them to the point where they will feel into their body and know what is right for them, not for them to think, oh, I don't know what to do, I'll ask Joe. Does that make sense?
Because
So
they're never going to learn. They'll never
no,
learn, Joe. They'll never be able to make a decision by themselves if they're
no.
coming to see you every week. No,
So
it's not
even if
healthy.
even if it's not you, like it's not a clairvoyant or a tarot read or whatever, but you're very reliant on a parent figure or a best friend, and you can't make any decisions on your own. That's also a red flag that your soul needs to strengthen up, and you need to trust your intuition about what you want, not what mum will tell me, or because then when poor old mum passes over, then
Yeah.
I get girls sitting in their just beside themselves because they've lost their support person, but also the person that's really just steered their ship for them, which you're not here on earth to do that. You're here to learn and to activate your intuition.
That's exactly right. And your intuition is like your GPS from spirit. So that's the only connection that spirit's got for you. And if
Yeah.
you're not listening to your Google Maps from spirit, you got a problem, because you're going to go way off track. And it's just like, how do I come back to my flow? How do I come back to where I'm supposed to be? But that's
Yeah.
exactly right. I like this. Customers will say to me, do I need to come back every week or every 4 weeks? No. This is not the idea for that. My idea is I need to lift you up and get you to a point where you're functioning, but I'm going to give you the tools as well so that you can go and do it for yourself, as in go and sit in nature. Nature is the most amazing thing. This is people taking responsibility for themselves and
Yes.
responsibility for their own actions. So, people that will go and see a reader every week, she doesn't want responsibility, and she's
No.
quite clearly able to pass it to this other person that will tell her, do this, do this, do this, but this person's going to fail them because she will never be able to make a decision for herself.
No, that's
Sad.
right. And the other way to connect into your intuition is, I love recommending meditation, and it's also just to quieten the mind, to then let to feel intuitively, or to feel what your body is wanting.
Yes.
I
I talk to my body. This might sound so silly, but I talk to my body.
Yeah, it's
So,
perfect.
and I'll give you a classic example of me talking to my body. It's like, if I've got a headache, I'll say to my head, okay, headache, do I need a glass of water? Right? And if the headache just vanishes for a second or two, I'll get a glass of water, because that's all I need. I'm dehydrated. If it doesn't go away, I say to my body, okay, have I had not enough sleep? And if it goes away for a second or two, that's what I need to do. Okay, I'll go and have a quick power nap if I can, if it's the weekend or whatever. Or I'll go to bed early that night. Okay, I'm depleted of energy. I've got a headache because I'm drained. I'll go and have a sleep. If there's something else going on, let me know, because I might need to, have a herbal tea or something like that. And if it goes away at that assumption, that's what I'll do. This is how I talk to my body. Does that make sense? And it will talk back to you. You're just got to pick up the little signals and the little signs that it wants to show you. And people go, really? You do that? It's like, all the time. All the time. If it's a sore elbow, what's this? What's going on here? Or if it's here, you know how people get sinus problems? I say to them, where's your stress? This is your stress center. Find the stress in your life, okay, and release the stress. So it could be, oh, I'm worried about my child going on school camp. Cancel the camp. See, I'm done. The stress will dissipate. Like just an example, but that's what this is. Find where you're going through stress in your life. Am I working too many hours? Do I need to balance it, bring it back a little bit? Your body wants to talk to you. So I talk to my body all the time, and it's amazing what it will come back to you and tell you.
Yeah, very much so. But we're kind of in their environment at the minute where that's trained out of you not to feel.
Yes, because we're told, no, go and see a counselor, go and do this, go and do that. Intuitively, How many times would you go somewhere and you knew already what the doctor was going to tell you or the dentist was going to tell you or, you know, whoever it might have been? How many
Mm,
times have you gone somewhere and it's like, they're going to tell me this and I know that's what the answer is. And you go there, it's like, surprise, I'm telling you that.
mm.
Do you know what I mean? So your
Yeah.
body's telling you that. It's just we're not trusting of the messages that we're getting. But you're so right, Joe. We've been trained out of thinking for ourselves and trained into believing what others need to tell us.
Mm, mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just as simple as, often women will just keep going, 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 but they're ignoring that their body needs a rest.
Yes.
You know,
Yes. That happens a
um,
lot. I do some weird stuff sometimes, Joe, as in I like to listen to podcasts and lectures. One of the
yeah,
weird ones that I listen to, and I absolutely love it. Every week it comes out. I buy it from America every week. This woman channels the Pleiadian star race, and
oh,
she
I love it.
says, I love it. I love it every week. And she says, as human beings, you're made to feel guilty if you want to have a day on the couch. You are made
Yeah,
to feel guilty that you should be doing something. You should be gardening, washing the clothes, washing the windows, taking the kids somewhere, whatever it is. And she goes, it's wrong. She goes, your body needs that day on the couch. That's you investing in you. I think we talked about this last week or the first week.
yeah,
That's you investing in you, just doing a you day. That's you nurturing you. And we can't be go, 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 go all the time. So this is why
mm,
I like to pull in different bits of wisdom from everywhere I can so that, okay, I'll do that. So if I need a day on the couch, I'll have a day on the couch. And then I'll
yeah,
get up the next day. It's like, I feel $1 million. Let's go. Let's do this,
yeah.
that's an
Absolutely.
empowering thing. So it's coming back. We've got to learn to come back to us because there's nothing else.
Yeah,
Besides us, there's nothing else.
yeah. And I think people also are very quick to quickly get over things. Like, I know when my mum died, whilst I didn't have a really close relationship to my mum, I still needed to heal and grieve. And I still felt capable to do readings, but I just did that. That was for that rest of the year. I didn't do
Yes,
any courses. I didn't do anything. It's just I just allowed myself to be. Um,
yes,
and I see it a lot when people go through a separation with a lover or a partner. They've got to get on with life really quickly, and if they really just felt into their body, they would know that that's not right.
yes.
You
That's
can't.
exactly right.
Mm,
Because they're ignoring what their body wants to tell them. They're
yeah,
ignoring the emotions that need to be released. Because otherwise, if they're not dealing with these emotions, all they're going to do is put a pressure cooker in their body. They're holding these emotions in. Sooner or later, they're going to come out.
yeah,
Do you know
and
what
I
I
just
mean?
think,
They,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, very much
agree,
so.
100%.
Yeah, so I think no one gives out, or not many people feel into it and give yourself time to feel it. They just worry, what will other people think? I've got to look my best, and I've got to look like I am better than I was before when I was with them. And I think, no worry what other people think. Just go on what your body needs.
Agree.
Mm,
That's what I tell my customers all the time. Why do you worry about what other people think when they're not living your life? They're not having that
yeah,
experience that you are having. So you just live your life with the I don't care about what other people think. Because if other people are going to judge you,
yeah,
they're not worth knowing. They're not worth knowing. They're not living your life. They don't know what your life experience is. They don't know what you signed up for. So that's why I say to people, and they're just looking at me like this, is like, no, seriously. If people are judging you, lose them. Find the
mm,
tribe that doesn't want to judge you, that just accepts you for who you are. Because when you do
yeah,
that, oh my God, your life becomes so much easier because you don't really care about what people think. That's
no,
me. I'm blessed that I don't care. If you don't like me, that's fine. I'm not going to be upset by that because everybody's allowed to like and not like people. That's
mm,
how it is.
mm,
But if
absolutely.
you like me, we could have a friendship.
Absolutely. And I think often also when people are giving you their opinion, I'm always very kind and will listen to what someone's telling me. But I often am also very mindful of often that person projecting their fears of why they wouldn't do it. But often they've never had a business or they've never done what you're wanting to do. So how would that be an educated decision for them? Does that make sense? So I often
Completely,
think,
completely.
mm, so
That's
if
that's why
you,
you've got to trust what's their experience level,
yes,
but they're giving you this advice, but they've got no experience whatsoever. That would be
Yeah.
like going to, like we started, ChatGPT. What do I need to know about running this business?
Yes. Very much so. So I often think, if you feel like it's a good idea, it may be that you need more knowledge on how to be more successful at it, but it doesn't mean not to do the idea. It just means that you may need more understanding about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I want to put a day wellness area at like in our yard of alchemy. Now, I had no idea about float tanks and all that, but I knew that that was my next vision for alchemy, but I needed to, I'm a bit fluent now in what about all about float tanks and things, but I didn't let fear of, I don't know how to have a float tank and how that all works. But, and then you'll get people going, oh my gosh, why would you do that? It's so expensive. But you've got to go on what your vision in your third eye or what you're feeling is right for your business. Does that make sense?
That's exactly right. The universe is showing you that for a reason.
Yes.
The universe is
Yes.
showing you that idea or concept for a reason. So all they want you to do is honor that and do your research. I'll always say to my customers, when you don't know what to do nothing, because you don't have the wisdom yet to make a decision. Does that make sense? So when you don't know what to do nothing. Okay. Then if you've got the wisdom and you're about to make a decision, the next game we play is, what's the worst that can happen? So like you with the flotation tanks, Joe, what's the worst that can happen? You sell them. Do you know what I mean? What's the best that can happen? You're booked out every day of the week in these flotation tanks. And that's what I say to people. When I put it to them like that, they go, well, that's very true. What's the worst that can happen? I'll sell them. And then off they go. But what's the best that can happen? I have to get more because everybody wants it.
Yeah, that's right. And my other thing is that when you're doing something new, do what you know until you know better.
Yes.
So,
yes. And that will happen. You'll learn, you'll start something off, and then the wisdom will come in and you'll do more of it.
Yeah. It's like anything I've done, I didn't know what I was doing, but I thought I'll give it a go because I'll learn as I go. It's on the job training. And then, 3 years later, it's just you could do it without even thinking. But on a soul level, how much my soul's grown from just having a go. Do you know what I'm saying?
That's it, Joe. That's exactly what it is. How much has your soul grown? I say to people, when you're uncomfortable, when you put yourself in an uncomfortable situation, you're in growth mode because it's like, I got to think on my feet. I got to do it anyway, whether I'm doing it correctly or there's a better way, but I'm doing it. Whereas if you just sit back and think, I can't do that, it's too hard, there's no growth there. So this is you trusting your intuition. I know how to get this done. And that's us at work sometimes. I know a way that we can make this work. If we do this, 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 and this, great. And then next week we'll go, Charles, you took it in 5 steps. We could have done it in 3. It's like, that's our wisdom for next time we do that. Do you know what I mean? So it's just, we have to trust ourselves. We have to come back to our body, be very discerning with what we're bringing in energetically. So newspapers, televisions, all of that sort of stuff. We've really got to watch the energy that comes into our homes, internet, social media, all of that stuff. Discern, is this relevant for me or is it not? And if it's relevant for me, do I believe it or do I not? Am I taking any of this on board? Yes or no? Just question everything. How does this feel for me? And when you check it in, how does this feel for me? You're going to go, you know what, that feels pretty good. Or, yeah, not really, not for me.
Yeah.
That's all I want people to do. Be a little bit more aware.
Yeah. And even like when you come home, an evolved soul doesn't want to hang out with friends that, whinge and bitch and moan about other people, and or possibly I'm not a fan of alcoholic drinks. And I don't say that I don't drink, but I'd be lucky to drink 3 or 4 times a year. But I think sometimes if you have a group of friends and that's all that you do together, it's not the best. It's a bit toxic, if that makes sense. It's not the best for your highest good. So sometimes when you start to evolve and question and really feel into what your body needs, your circumstances or your friends might start to change because they're not for your highest evolvement. So, and I'd rather I've got some really great, lovely friends. And when I'm driving home from hanging out with them, my heart's full of joy and happiness from hanging out with them. And they're the ones you want, not the ones that And I'm not saying that getting drunk is right or wrong, but I just think I would hate to waste a whole day the next day laying on the lounge, not by choice, but because my head hurts or I've got a hangover.
Yes. Yes. I agree
You know?
100%. I agree 100%. And you're so on the point and on the money, Joe. You want to go out with people that uplift you.
Mm.
But you're not draining them, but you're being uplifted and everybody's uplifting each other. If you're going out and hanging around people and you're feeling really depleted at the end of the evening, think twice. Just think twice. They're going to drain you of energy.
Yeah. So I just think, and same with your career. I know I drive home now, probably 9.9 days out of 10. I drive home super happy because I've made a difference in people's lives. I've helped them, and you know, you drive. You think I've helped people today, and I've done something good. So, not all jobs have that, but I'm just saying, you know, we're here on earth to have a great experience, not just a it will do experience. But
100%. Have fun, have joy, have
Yes.
happiness in everything you do. Do it from a place of love. Because if you do everything, even if it's your job at work, do it from a place of love, you can't go wrong. You really can't go wrong. It's just, it's, you know, talk to people, engage with people, connect with people. That's the key, I think, Joe, in all of this with our intuition as well. We've got to trust ourselves, but we've got to learn to connect with people again, because when we're connecting energetically, we know if they're telling us the truth or if they're not telling us the truth. And that's the thing, connect either way. And you said it before when you were talking about the kids and they might not want to go and hug Uncle Harry. They're honoring their energy. And it's like, okay, don't hug him, just wave goodbye to him. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Honoring the energy. So this is a really big deal for people to connect, because it's like they're losing the art of feeling the person. Does that make sense? And understanding what their energy is about. So yeah, I think intuitively, come back, connect. How does this feel? Does it feel good? Does it feel bad? Okay, if it feels good, let's continue. I've got more questions. Can you answer my questions, please? Whatever that might look like. Yeah, this is the time for us to become alive and engage and question, because then we've got nobody to go, you told me that. No, it's on us. It's on us to believe what we believe and to work out what's real and what's not real now.
Yeah. And, you know, even with Lexi the other day, you know, Lexi is very focused on basketball, but there will be a time when she might be interested in a person that she finds attractive. But I said to Lexi, the difference is, Lexi, is that when I drove home from having time with Elliot, like your dad, is that I felt like a princess and I felt special. And I said, with previous boyfriends, I didn't feel that. And it's not saying that they were bad in any way, but your dad made me feel special when I was driving home from our catch up. And I said, and that's the difference with someone you want to spend your lifetime with. Because if they don't make you feel that way when you're dating, guess what? It's not going to get any better. If anything, it will get worse as you get older. And not that it's like that with Elliot and I, but I'm just saying it's not going to get any better when you get married or whatever. It's how it is now is you're at the peak, my friend, of how.
That's the most impressionable stage. If it's not that good at the impressionable stage, run for the hills. My advice would be run for the hills, because as you said, that's the peak. That's as good as it gets. And then, but yeah, it's interesting. But this is also about people being on their journey in life, learning what they need to learn, and then off they go.
Yes, and a lot of it is, I reckon, you know, if everyone could intuitively go inwards and feel what it feels like, the world would be much better.
Yes. And simple things. Put yourself in somebody else's shoes.
Yes.
Put yourself in somebody else's shoes. What are they feeling? Why are they feeling that? Explain that to me. You can say to somebody, I've never been in that position. What does it feel like? So that they can explain what they're feeling, and you can then understand their perspectives. That's all people want. People just want to be heard. People want to be heard, and people need to use their voices. So yeah, intuitively, be discerning with what you get information-wise. Trust your intuition and check in with your intuition. There would be meditations on YouTube that you could find for intuition. Joe, we might even run some meditations in the future. What do you think, Dulce?
I would love that. Let's get together and create something.
let's do something. So viewers, if you'd like some meditation videos, let us know in the comments. Give us a like and subscribe, and ring the little bell. I don't know what it does, but ring the bell. It sounds really good.
Oh, really?
But
I
yeah,
don't even know where that
what's
is.
that?
I don't even know where the bill is.
The bell's on the YouTube channel, Daz. It's on the YouTube page. It's not on our page. It's all good.
Right. Okay, cool.
So thank you, Joe, for another lovely week. And as we
Thank
said
you.
last week, viewers, if you've got stuff that you want us to discuss and debate and talk about, please do leave it in the comments. We'll come back to you. But yeah, start practicing discernment. Start checking in with your intuition about how you feel with life and what you're going through, and then see what changes for you. See what positive aspects might come for you.
Excellent. Thank you for
Have a
your
great
time
Easter,
today.
everyone. What's that?
Bye. Oh, thank you for
Have
your
a great
time.
Easter. Our pleasure, Joe. Thank you, love. Love doing this with you. We have so much fun. So have a great week, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Bye.